great diffusion that they do in East Africa? Good question. Thanks, Aaron. Interesting one from Junebug in Dallas, Texas. We never see buffalo mating, you say. Why is that? Well, Junebug, they're just very private, you know. And they tend to go and find themselves a secluded spot. No, Junebug, the reason we don't see a huge amount of mating, I think, is because it happens largely in the night. And secondly, we don't see breeding herds greatly here. You know, we see a lot of buffalo bulls and obviously carcasses. And the bulls, these ones, of course, are not moving with the herds anymore. Periods with herds of buffalo, you do tend to see a bit of mating, but you won't see a huge amount of it at this stage because we don't see those herds coming through. And it will mostly happen at night. I haven't seen it very often, but I have seen it once or twice. Good question. Thank you, Junebug. Right, I think these buffalo bulls have probably provided us with all the entertainment that they're going to. Safe to say that, of course, they do look at you, and I say this a few times, I have said this a few times, they do look at you as though you owe them money, and certainly that fellow there is doing precisely that. So we'll roll slowly down the road here, and see what else we can see. I must say it's got pretty cold. I now have a blankie over my legs. And just as I was talking about the cooler weather, Maggie in Vancouver has asked, with the warmer weather, well, yes, it is warmer normally, will some of the animals get bitten by snakes? Maggie, it's not common. Unless a snake wants to eat you, he will normally not bite you. And I mean, so something like a buffalo is highly unlikely to be bitten by a snake unless it really steps on it by mistake. Snakes will move away from us, they'll move away from big animals that they don't want to eat. So it's not common, it really isn't. It does happen from time to time, and sometimes you'll find a dead animal, sometimes, and it's very clear that it's just, or it looks like it's died of some kind of poisoning. And so yes, it does happen, but it's really not common, Maggie. There are lots of snakes out here, certainly many more than you'd expect there to be, but we don't see them very often, and that's because they just avoid us so carefully. You may lose signal here, we are going through a bit of a dip, but I'll see you the other side. I'm going to hold off talking till we're through. And then lots of medicinal plants out here, and the traditions out here are normally from the Shangaan or Tsonga people, and they have many traditional uses for some of the plants out here. And Angie in Ohio, you're asking about whether we get something called a spider wart out here, which is used to cure spider bites. We don't, as far as I'm aware. As far as I'm aware, that plant doesn't occur here. I'd be very interested to know where it does occur. Is it a North American species, perhaps? Or maybe it might be an African species that I don't know about. But I don't think it occurs here, as far as I know. Very nice question. Lots of medicinal uses of various plants out here that we find. How many of them are actually useful or not, I don't know. Trying to think of a few that I may have used. Certainly Brent's favorite one is the one Lippia javanica, which is the I forget the common name now, but it's a very kind of aromatic plant that lives around, it's called a bushman's tea. It lives around the drainage line areas or riverbeds, and if he has a cold or something like that, he will pick it and steam himself with it, and it seems to be pretty effective in terms of clearing out the sinuses. Very lovely thought. Brent Leo Smith's sinuses. We drive through the bush. Now, quite an interesting thing there. Brian, should we try and get that battalion? Or is he flying away now? No, he's flying away. Sorry, there was a raptor, a battalier, flying there, and I just wanted to show you how difficult it is for them to fly in the wind. They really do struggle. All the raptors will struggle to fly in the wind because, well, it's windy and gusty. And Penny, while we're driving along looking at not much at all, you obviously saw me plant that leopard orchid the other day in a tree at the Djuma Dam. Now, everybody, if you perhaps weren't watching, I climbed a tree and I got hold of a pod from a leopard orchid, which is one of the only orchids that we get out here. In fact, I think it is the only orchid we get here. And I planted it in a hole in one of the trees, hoping that it would grow and by Christmas deliver us some beautiful yellow and brown flowers that give it its name, the leopard orchid. Penny, I checked it about 4 or 5 days ago, and there doesn't seem to be a great deal of growth, to be honest, so I'm a little worried that nothing's going to happen. I'm going to leave it there for another month or so and see if it doesn't grow, and if it doesn't, then I will probably try and find another pod and maybe do a bit more research on how to propagate them. We're heading now towards Buffelshoek Dam, and we'll see what's come out in the water there. But what I do want to show you is how the water has reduced and how little there is there. And I think if we don't get some proper rain fairly soon, the only water that left on Djuma that will be available to the animals will be those small pumped pans just around Galago and around Buyatela. Those are the two camps at Djuma where guests come and stay, and the two little ponds that are pumped. Right, we are not far away now. There really is a kind of chilly breeze blowing out of the southeast. Frontal weather. And there was some storms predicted, but you know, normally with wind like this, very consistent coming out of the southeast, we get a bit spattered with rain. We don't get huge storms normally. I may be wrong though. It certainly won't be the first time. I was pulling into Buffelshoek Dam yesterday with Brian, and we were both saying how we've both seen leopard there, and no matter how many times you don't see them in the same place twice, you always look for them in the same place twice. And so I've seen a leopard at the far end of this dam, and every time I come past I look to see if he isn't perhaps there again. He never has been. Seems to be a huge amount going on at the dam right now. We'll just drive up onto the wall and have a look. There are there are two Egyptian geese running now down towards the water. A bit of safety. The male on the left, and that's the female in the picture now. Stop up here and we'll have a listen and a look and see what's going on. Now, what you should know is that inlet there, I mean, the drainage line that basically feeds this dam, that is reducing almost on a daily rate towards the middle of the water. And while it does look like there's quite a lot of water still here, it's definitely getting shallower and shallower daily. I think if we don't get proper rain in the next month, this will probably dry out, especially if the heat maintains. Ooh, very nice. Right, we have had an update that there is elephant and giraffe at the Djuma Dam. We're quite a long way from there, but I tell you what, we'll try and go and have a look there. Thank you for that update, Ashley. We'll head towards there, well, relatively quickly. We don't want to speed too much. I know Brent Leo Smith is attempting to find you something very exciting, and so while he's doing that, we'll head towards the Djuma Dam and see what if we can pick up those giraffe and elephant. Those are two Egyptian geese, and rather rudely, you can tell the male from the female when they're flying along, because the female is normally shouting at the male. He's flying in front, and she's behind him going quack, 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 quack. And you know, the less reverent of my friends tell me that that's what it's like in their marriages. But I don't believe that, of course. Alright, we're going to send you across to Brent. We'll head across to the Djuma Dam and see what's there, and Brenty will tell you exactly what he's going to find. I'm a little bit jealous, to be honest. See you just now.
So we've moved off into the west. We're on Arathusa Private Game Reserve now, the second half of our traverse. And there's something afoot, there's something brewing, and I'm not going to let you know what it is just yet. We're going to try to see if we can find it. So we're checking very carefully around here, hoping we are in for a bit of luck. This cool weather does mean certain animals will move around a bit more than they normally do, and it means others won't. So it's one of those payoffs. And you can see the weather has not improved much. If anything, it's actually got colder, and I've even resorted to having a blankie around my legs. I'm not a big fan of the cold. I think probably the coldest I've ever been in my life was in Chicago. Terribly cold place that, during February. Have a quick look at the Arathusa waterhole, see if anything's about down there, maybe some hippopotami, and check up with the goslings. There's a family of Egyptian geese that are there, and last time I think it was 11 babies. Oh no, sorry, 7 babies. So we'll see if they've managed to keep those 7 together, or if any predator. Oh, what timing! Elephants on their way to drink. Lots and lots of elephants. Okay. Oh, looks like we're going to be there at the right time. There's a herd drinking. There's another herd that's just arrived. Just going to have to call it on the game drive. It's okay, Elise. We're not here to cause trouble. So the wind was very strong, so that we sort of probably didn't hear us coming in. And they are relaxing a little bit, but you can see that they are in heightened awareness, so got to be a little bit careful around these situations. It's okay, Elise. And see, if we had started to drive away fast or move fast there, it would have been not a good idea. And you can see they have calmed down quite a bit. It could also be, there we go, that's it. This young bull's also causing trouble here, that one in the end, and probably upset the females. But how many, Andrew? How many do you think? 20, 25? Lots of babies. Lots and lots of babies here. You can see they've calmed down now. They've got over that initial fright that they got. And it's very important to stay calm in these situations. And you can, without even realizing it, upset an elephant herd very, very easily. I'm just going to keep quiet. I will keep talking in a very calm voice, but I have to concentrate on the elephant at the moment. No. Behave yourself, madam. So you got to worry about the young bulls who might accidentally sort of charge and cause a bit of problems and get the rest of the herd riled up again. But you can see now they've moved off, they're much calmer. And I just tapped the side of the vehicle there and kept that voice and just changed my voice slightly to let them know that we're not a threat and we're not a problem. This is an incredibly large female we have right here. That's an elephant calf screaming at another. Stop it. Stop it. Good girl. So I said, very, very important to be calm in those situations. If you get excited and riled up, it'll get the Ellies excited and riled up. Hello, old lady. See, just from her body language, she's a lot more relaxed than the others. You can see she's actually after a little acacia that's sprouting through there. More relaxed than the other females who are close. Therefore, she's just as close as some of the others, but I don't feel the need to talk to her. Oh, look at that, he's putting his trunk in her mouth. Or tap the side of the vehicle. And there's the cause of all the problem. There is a young testosterone-filled bull who's probably been causing most of this havoc. And just you can see by his whole general demeanor, lifting his head, being a big deal. Probably just late teens. And you'll find that the females probably have been chasing him away, and he's been causing a lot of trouble with the rest of the herd. I'm just going to turn the vehicle around. I'm not going to follow this herd any further, but we'll watch them move away. If we do decide to follow them further, it'll be after watching just a little bit, seeing their behavior. Obviously, yes, you see now already, I think this is the herd that were on their way down to drink, and they didn't get there because of the pandemonium that struck between the two herds. Also, the coming together of two herds can also cause quite a lot of stress. Yes, I know you're thirsty. You can see he's got the water walk on. It's going to head straight down to the water hole now. So what happened is one herd was drinking and the other was on its way, and then that young bull was causing a bit of trouble, and we arrived at the same time. So there was just a little bit of confusion. Let's see, a little bit of calm, and I love it when they do this water walk. Running, you're thirsty? Yes, I know you're thirsty. Off you go. Oh, it's been a long night with no water. Oh, look at the excitement in those Ellies as they charge down towards the water. So they're drinking right in front of the Arathusa Safari Lodge, where some of our viewers have actually been and stayed. So, what a wonderful experience. You can have an elephant sighting without leaving the comfort of your bed. So because of that initial little bit of stress that the Ellies had, I've stopped quite far away from them. We can still see them really nicely from here, but there's no need to go too close to them. Playing with the water. You guys hear that click? That's just my camera. I'm taking a few snapshots. I'd encourage you guys to take some screenshots, and don't forget to pop them on the Wild Earth Facebook page or on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. Oh, there's some more illies arriving to drink. Wonder if they are part of the same breeding herd, or maybe another small breeding herd. And even though it looks really, really green at the moment, it is actually very dry. That little bit of rain's just greened up the bush, but there is little water around, and it's going to be quite interesting to just watch this greeting now. See, there's a little bit of nerves there. Yeah. So what happens is a lot of these little family groups of breeding herds. Oh, look at this. Charging in. Someone got left behind. Panic! Oh. Yes. I found the elephants. I wasn't panicking. I was very calm. I'm very brave. I don't mind being left behind. Young female. So one must remember that every time you see a herd of elephants, you cannot treat every sighting the same. This herd might be completely relaxed in a different situation, but because of the strong wind, the other herd around, that young bull causing trouble, you have to read and watch their behavior and then decide what to do from there. And with elephants, or with most animals, the most important thing is not to panic. Stay calm, assess the situation. You can see now the herd's nice and relaxed, they're all drinking. And it's possible they've moved quite a long distance overnight, and I'm really looking forward to their drink. So unfortunately this overcast and cloudy weather is playing a bit of havoc with our radio comms, and I might have to move away from, because we're very low lying here, and I will try get to the questions on the elephant behavior. I just unfortunately I'm not copying them 100% at the moment. Maybe as I move to a bit of higher ground later I should be able to hear them. Here we go. The need for water sated, and off they move. Now quite often after... Oh, she's smelling there. You can see that the whole demeanor of this herd has changed, far more calm now. There are some hippos in the water here. You can just hear them snorting. They'll be trying to keep as much of their body under the water as possible in this cold weather. Sorry guys, so while we move off and try to see what else we can find, we're going to cross across to James and we'll be back a little later. How's it for?
Hello everyone, little elephant here, little bull. He's being very vicious with us and he's came very close to the vehicle. And then he's backed off a bit because we didn't rush away in terror. Oh, you are very strong. Of course, I'm being a little facetious with him. That will change should he decide to actually follow through. But he's probably about a 13-year-old, 13 or 14-year-old bull, and he's decided that he's going to show us who's boss. But now he's embarrassed because we didn't run away in terror. And so now he's going to pretend that all he's actually doing is eating. And just looking for things to eat, and he wasn't actually trying to frighten us at all, and he's he's smelling us. This is wonderful. So they don't often come that close, you know, when they're doing their little kind of look how big I am skit. They normally stop at about 20 meters or so, and this chap was, well, at one stage was about 3 meters away. There he goes, he's carrying on, trying from a different angle. I'll try and reverse back and see what he does. I don't want to irritate him too much, but come on then. Come on. Well, we're just going to roll slowly forward around the termite mound here. There are a few more elephants here, and while I do that, I'll explain something to Ashley. Ashley, on Twitter, you say just now Brent had to tap the side of the vehicle to make sure an elephant didn't come too close to the vehicle. And you want to know what would happen if that didn't work and if the elephant kept on coming. I think what you'll find is that Brent, who's obviously very experienced out here, he would have been observing very carefully the elephant's behavior, and if she had, I'm assuming it was a cow or a young bull, if she had been seriously upset by his presence, I don't think he would have been there in the first place. Sometimes it's just a little kind of to make the elephant aware that you know, that's enough, they need to stop coming. But if an elephant or any other animal actually shows serious signs of discomfort, we normally just move away. So what you always do is you make sure the car's in first gear, you make sure you have a forward escape route, and that if you have to leave quickly, you can. It's not always possible to do that, but that's the general rule if you're viewing elephants, especially if you don't or you do not experienced at reading their behavior. The best thing is just to make sure that the car is always in first gear, and that if you have to, you can start it quickly and drive off. Driving away is the only surefire way of getting away from an elephant that is bent on a serious attack. Seeking comfort from the older one. Look at that, on the termite mound, right onto the top of the termite mound. Now, I have heard countless people tell me that no, I was safe, I was standing on top of a termite mound. You are not safe on top of a termite mound. An elephant is an astonishingly agile animal. That is amazing. Little elephant going there. And Liz in Milwaukee, you want to know what the inside of an elephant's trunk looks like. Liz, I can safely say I have no idea, and I'm very happy that I don't, because I've never had the opportunity to stare up an elephant's trunk, and that's because I've never been that close to one, so I couldn't really tell you. What I can tell you though is that there are turbinates like there are in yours. There's a septum, just like in your nose, that kind of splits the two nostrils in half. And the turbinates and the septum vibrating together are what make the elephant, the trumpeting sound. They start to resonate, vibrate in time with the air that's coming out of them. And that's what makes the trumpeting sound when they are upset or excited. We had a question the other day about whether or not I'd ever experienced an elephant sneeze on me. I thankfully haven't, but I suspect, Liz, it would be a fairly, what should we say, moistening affair. Look at that elephant right on top of a termite mound. And I don't know if you can hear that, everyone. There. Such a lovely call. It's the melancholic call of the black cuckoo, and it says, "I'm so sad, I'm so sad." And there's a very interesting one here from X-Ranga in Tasmania. X-Ranga, you want to know if elephants ever, when they run, do they ever have all 4 feet off the ground? Elephants are the one mammals, or the one land mammal, that cannot jump. They can't jump. They do not lift all of their feet off the ground ever. I've seen babies, I've seen really little ones that look like they're almost running, but otherwise what they do is they basically power walk. They walk with a great speed. They don't ever, and for those of you who've never considered what running actually is, it's jumping. You're jumping, basically. You're off the ground all the time, and something like a horse or any of the animals that run will always be, there will be a time when all 4 feet are off the ground. And that doesn't occur at all for elephants. They tend to just walk really fast, and that's why it looks quite ridiculous when they're on the run. It's quite ridiculous unless they're running towards you at great speed, in which case it's just utterly terrifying, which thankfully none of these did. But you did see how amazingly agile that elephant was as it came down the termite mound. You were never, people say, no, well, I was on a termite mound. They wouldn't have done anything to me. They couldn't have. Not true. Right, we'll just move slowly along them, heading into some pretty thick bush. Deb, in Ohio, will the termite mound collapse under the mass of an elephant? Deb, no, it wouldn't. I'll tell you why. There's another one coming up the road here now. It wouldn't, because it's not hollow. It might compact a bit, it might sort of crush some of the tunnels that are inside there and compact them, but it certainly wouldn't collapse because it's not hollow. Of Kipling's Great Grey Green Greasy Limpopo. And Josh, you asked a very valid question. Why don't animals get sick? Why don't elephants get sick when they drink that stuff? Because if we drank water like that, we'd obviously be ill for days. Josh, it's all got to do with what your stomach is used to and what it can take, and the amount of bacteria that you have in the stomach to break down whatever it is that you've ingested. So, good example, good way to compare it would be if you go to India and you drink water out of a tap there, chances are that if you're from North America or Europe or even South Africa, you will go down with a form of amoebic dysentery that will make you feel very ill for quite a long time and could even kill you. But the Indians in various parts of India are able to drink that water completely, without any effect on them. And that is simply because their stomachs are used to the various bugs and bacteria and bits and pieces that occur in that water. Now, it's the same thing out here. The elephants and the animals out here are used to drinking dirty water, and so it doesn't really affect them to drink dirty water. Certainly elephants will choose to drink clean water if they can, but they can cope with that foul, green, sludgy stuff. And certainly most of the other animals, I mean, I've seen lions drinking mud, basically. Mud that is mostly elephant dung and probably quite a lot of hippo urine. But they drink it very happily and they've got no problem with it. So it's just got to do with what your stomach's used to. And if you lived in India, for example, eventually your stomach would get used to the different bacteria and things that are around there. And again, just relating to Brent's sighting of the elephants drinking, I think he's probably on his way to try and find a leopard there. That's why we'll look at these elephants, while we'll give him some time to do that. Carol, you want to know how many gallons an elephant can drink in one sitting? Well, each trunkful holds about 5 litres, which is about 1 gallon, and they can drink up to apparently about 100 litres in a sitting. I've seldom seen them do that, you know. I've read it many times. I've seldom seen them actually do it. They normally take 4 or 5 trunkfuls of water, well, maybe up to 10, and then they move off. I suppose it depends quite largely on the heat and how hot it is. And that trunk, yeah, so it'll hold about a gallon at a time, 5 litres or so. I'm just actually going to check that, because I think a very big elephant, there we go, a very big elephant will hold 2 gallons, 10 litres, or up to 12 litres. And I think a gallon, if I'm not mistaken, is 5 litres, maybe 4.5, 5 litres. So call it 3 gallons for a big elephant, and a sort of medium-sized cow between 1 and 1.5 gallons of water. This is a young bull on the fringes, like I said. He's just lurking around here. He doesn't want to be with the family anymore. The youngsters irritate him, and he's a bit too cool for school. We've seen lots of pregnant elephants around recently. Shannon in Ohio, you want to know if I've ever seen an elephant being born. Shannon, I have not ever seen an elephant being born. It would be wonderful to see an elephant being born. I've seen a very newborn calf, and I've seen the afterbirth from a recent birth. I've never actually seen the birth. And for the elephants, like I said yesterday, it's a tremendously celebratory affair. The herd gathers round and trumpets and makes a big fuss over the cow that's giving birth. And then they all really do make a huge effort to look after the newborn calf. So, while I haven't seen it, it's a wonderful celebratory affair. I'd really like to see it one day. Thank you, Patty in Philadelphia, for your 2 questions. The first, well, Patty, everybody, watch the documentary. I'm just trying to get the name. I think it's Patty. In Philadelphia, Pappy. Sorry, Pappy in Philadelphia. Watch the documentary on elephants made by the Joubert couple, Beverly and Derek, and she wants to know if Brian Joubert is perhaps related to them. Brian Joubert is the man on the other end of the lens you're looking at today. Brian, you're not related to the Jouberts, are you?
No, not related.
Not related at all. Joubert is actually quite a common South African name. So Brian is not related to those particular Jouberts. He's obviously a very skilled cameraman in his own right. And the Jouberts, in case you don't know, have made some really spectacular documentaries over the years. They live in Botswana, and they've made lots of great films, mainly for National Geographic. And then Pappy, I think you also wanted to know, I've lost your question, I'm afraid. It'll come through. My mind has lost. Ah, yes, salt. You said apparently the documentary said they need salt, and where do they get it from in their diet, especially here in the Sabi sands? Pappy, Elephants get their salt from various sources. Remember, there's salt in just about everything. Salt is just a combination of different elements, normally a metal and probably chlorine. So sodium chloride is the most obvious salt, but there are lots of different kinds of salts that we get out here, and they will occur in various concentrations in the leaves that they eat and in the plants that they eat, but they also occur in sand, in the soil. And you will find that elephants will at times sample soil, probably not so much at this time of the year, but when it's very dry and there's not much to eat, you will find that they'll eat the odd bit of soil, and that's not uncommon. Lots of animals will do that. There's some animals that will use bones. They'll pick up bones and suck on bones, and that gives them various salts, but these, I've never seen an elephant do that. So mainly from the soil and then from the food that they eat. There's enough salt. And of course the proportion of salt in the plants will depend very largely on the salt content of the soil and the geology. And this area is not that rich in it. Thank you for your questions, Pappy. I'm sure Brian Joubert is quite pleased that you've confused his filmmaking for that of the eminent Derek and Beverly.
Indeed.
Right, this chap's now behind a tree, so I think we'll press on towards the Djuma Dam. We're not too far from there now. Wonderful elephant sighting. I find watching elephants an extremely relaxing affair, unless of course, like I say, they're chasing you, then it's not very relaxing at all. These ones are wonderfully confiding. Lovely question from Sibu Siso and Hammans Kraal. Sibu Siso, you want to know, you've obviously heard me do a number of bird calls. Can you ever fool a bird into believing that it's you? You can sometimes, not often. It's a very good question. With something like a pearl-spotted owl, you can definitely call them in with a whistle. They will fall for it every time. Other birds don't fall for the pearl-spotted owl call that you make, but you can make pearl-spotted owls fall for it, and they will come in and land and investigate what you're looking at. But those other birds, very seldom will they respond. I've whistled at many, many birds and made what I think are pretty accurate representations, and very few will respond. I think they can definitely hear a subtle difference, and I'm sure that you know the frequency that they hear at, and therefore the frequency that they call at is very different. So it probably sounds quite different to them than it does from the sound that it gives to us. Very good question, Super Cecil. And then you want to know, how do I know that the black cuckoo is saying, I'm so sad? I don't. It's just a really nice way, especially if you're learning bird calls and what they sound like. It's always nice to put some sort of human words to them, because it helps just to remember them. It gives you kind of a reminder. So whenever I hear, I think of I'm so sad, because it does sound like a very sort of mournful call. Another example would be something like a Diederik's cuckoo. And you remember the Diederik's cuckoo call because it says dee 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 Diederik's, dee 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 Diederik's. It's obviously not really saying that at all, but that's what it sounds like. It's a good way of learning the call if you haven't heard it before. Thank you, Super Sweezo. Some good ones there. Elephants. Lots of general game will be hiding now in the thick bush, trying to get away from the wind, or we're going to head up towards quarantine clearings now once we've checked the Djuma Dam. Some of them will be out in the open, just looking around, seeing if they can see anything. But it is a pretty chilly day. Listening to the Game Drive radio, seeing if there's an update. John Brian. saw another very common inquiry about various animals. Christy on Twitter, are elephants the smartest? Excuse me, sitting like this, and my left bottom cheek has gone to sleep, so I'm just trying to relieve it slightly while I sit here. Christy, intelligence is a very difficult thing to define and very difficult to kind of interpret, I think. And I think even with human beings, we certainly the traditional method of writing somebody off as an imbecile because they have a low IQ, it's based on a very specific set of criteria that isn't necessarily valid. People are intelligent in different ways. Some are emotionally intelligent. I'm not one. Some have a high IQ or intelligence quotient. There's an interesting little tree there that I was pointing at to Brian. That's not particularly interesting to you. And so, are elephants intelligent? From our point of view, they probably are. They've probably got quite a lot in the way of. Just pulled out the plug. Ooh, some zebra. Stop here. There we go. They're all now completely panicked about absolutely nothing and behaving like idiots. So are elephants intelligent? Christy, I would say that they are. In terms of human intelligence, compared with human intelligence, yes. They're emotionally very bonded to each other? Are they able to, do they have a complex set of communication? Yes, they seem to have a very complex communication. When we go to lions, for example, and they're considered by trainers of animals, so people who train them for films and that sort of thing, they're considered pretty dim-witted. But are they? I mean, they hunt without speaking, without any kind of, highly successfully, cooperatively hunt without making any kind of sound whatsoever. So, I mean, that must indicate some kind of intelligence. So, are elephants clever? From a human perspective, yes, I think they have a similar kind of intelligence as us in that they are able to communicate in a tremendously complicated fashion. And they also have a very high kind of obvious emotional attachment to each other. And for us as human beings, we find that very appealing because we can relate to it. And I think that also makes us think that they are pretty intelligent. We'll just stop here quickly. It's a young zebra looking at us. He's quite interested in us. There we go, he's relaxed with us now. So is a zebra intelligent, for example? Well, does it have a complex set of communication like elephants? No, we don't think that they do. Do they need them? Absolutely not. I mean, they're a very successful species. What is that? The mane on his front of his head, or has he got an oxpecker attached to his forehead? Or is he just a punk? See, that front zebra's got a very punkish hairdo. Oh no, it's just his mane. That's quite impressive. Quite a nice mohawk there. Surprised not to see he's got an earring. That's the odd tattoo. Beautiful sounds, you can hear the doves. And the wind. And there. That whistling sound is called a grey hornbill. Oh, it's lovely. Beautiful, and they'll be down in this, like I said to you, the animals will come down into these sort of drainage line areas because the bush is a bit thicker, it's a bit more sheltered, and certainly, I mean, we can hear the wind rustling all around us, but we're not, it's much warmer down here than it is on the ridge crests. Beautiful. All right, on we go. Right, we are coming on towards the Djuma Dam, where the elephants were seen a while back. I suspect it was probably that same herd of elephants that we were looking at there. And they probably just walked away from the dam. And there were also some giraffe there, which hopefully we'll pick up now. An update came from Ashley. Thank you, Ashley. On Twitter, you say that zebra are only scared of two things, things that don't move and things that move. It's pretty accurate, you know. They're very skittish. So are most of the herbivores out here. Even the elephants, you know, you would imagine them to be certainly far less afraid of things than many other animals, but they still, they react very badly to lions. They will chase lions. They don't like us if we're on foot. They're very nervous of us on foot. And very few elephants out here will have any adverse experience of human beings on foot. And so why they should be nervous of us is quite interesting. Right, exciting news. Brent seems to be on his way to see another kind of a cat, the iconic spotted cat of Africa. Let's head across to him, get an update, and I'll see you later.
So we've been waiting for quite a while. There were a lot of game drive vehicles in this area. I'm not going to tell you just who or what it is yet, although James, I think, gave away a little hint. But so thankfully for the last little bit of drive, we're going to have a hopefully very exciting, if not beautiful, sighting of one of my favorite animals. We're just waiting for Roy to come out of the sighting, and then we're going to be able to get in there. And you can see in the road in front of me, up there, that's how we leave signposts around the bush. If an animal's in the bush, we drop a branch and we'll tell everyone what type of branch we've dropped, so everyone knows where to go look. So Roy's on his way out now, so we'll be moving in there very, very shortly. So exciting stuff. And as I said, it might be a grey morning, but it's never a dreary morning out here in the African wilderness. Morning, morning. Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone. Okay, so what are we going to see? Let's get in there and find out. Watch out there, Andrew. Okay. A couple more branches to duck and dive and avoid. And this is only a 2-vehicle sighting because it's in such a difficult area. So there's only space for 2 cars. Normally, with a sighting like this, we would happily put 3 vehicles in. I'm just going to see where the best spot is now. And one of the really fortunate things about the vehicles we use here is they are very short compared to the normal game drive vehicles. Obviously we don't have to accommodate for lots of people sitting on the back, so quite often we are able to get into positions that the other vehicles are not. What we have here, and it is, I know, quite a few of our viewers' favorite leopard. It is Shadow, and just behind her it looks like she's got a kill as well, but we'll show you that shortly. So she seems to be on a killing spree at the moment. That's 3 kills in 4 days. And there Andrew is showing you what looks to be the remnants of a duiker carcass at the back there. A very contented female leopard we have here. What a fantastic sunrise safari. Lions, hyenas, elephants, buffalo, and now right at the end, a majestic female leopard. I'm hoping she decides to put that piece of meat in a tree a little bit later. You know, she has lost quite a few kills to hyenas. So this cold, windy, dark weather, it makes very good hunting as well, and lack of moonlight also helps lions and leopards and be able to get closer, because their eyesight is better at night than the prey species. Very lazy kitty. She's done her hard work for the day already. I'm just going to roll forward slightly. We'll get back to her. It looks like it's actually a very small duiker. See in there, Andrew? How's that? That's good. There we go, so we can just show you the kill a little bit better. So it looks like a young duiker. And looks like she's already eaten half of it, and so she's going to lie here to digest. And I said hopefully she moves it up into a tree to protect that remaining meat from the marauding spotted hyena. Although fortunately for her, I think most of the hyenas in this area are going to be concentrating around those lions and buffalo. It is quite a small kill. So in the morning, and then the fun begins about tracking her and finding her again. Oh, there we go. Eyes open slightly. And see, she's known game drive vehicles since she was a cub, and she's very habituated to them. Oh, Andrew, there's a very strange bug on the dashboard. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but the color is fantastic. Tiny little red and white beetle of sorts. I think you're going to have to have a look in the insect book, try to figure out what it is. Oh, and off it goes. About that, it seems like the gremlin crept in there for a bit, and we'll try to figure out what that bug is when we get home. But so looking at Shadow now, we can see her belly quite nicely, and we've got a question from Margaret. Is Shadow pregnant? Margaret, it's too early to tell if she is. She was seen mating not that long ago, and it's going to take 3 months, or just over 90 days is a leopard's gestation period. Very short gestation, and we won't be able to tell until it gets much closer to the end of that 3 months, and she might even be seen mating again before the end of that 3 months, even if she is pregnant. So what female leopards can do, they can go into false oestruses, and they will try and mate with every dominant male that they might possibly come across, to ensure all the males think that the males in the area think that they are the fathers. So it's very difficult to tell leopard paternity without DNA tests, and there's a very interesting project.
Thank you so much. We've had some wonderful interactions today, some hugely good questions which have sparked a lovely discussion and conversation. Beautiful lions we had up on the Buffelshoek cut line earlier. We'll go back there this afternoon and have a quick look and see if they're still there. Otherwise, some wonderful elephants as well. A quick thank you from Brian. Thank you, Brian, for all of your efforts today, and to everybody in Final Control. A big thank you to them, and let's hand you over once more. That's Brian's thumb, in case you were wondering, not an alien. We're going to head straight across to... Oh, sorry, Brent has apparently lost his signal. That's a bit distressing. Brent is, of course, with beautiful Shadow, and I'm very jealous. I haven't seen her for some time. We're still waiting, of course, on news of Shadow's son, Sindile, and hoping that he will be returned to us fairly soon. By all accounts, things are looking pretty good for him at the moment. So, with any luck, he will be clear of any rabies, and he will come back, I think probably within the next 10 days or so, we hope. We will keep you posted. We're not sure. There are various bits and pieces going on Twitter that seem to be wild rumours rather than actual fact. But the Sabi Sands is watching very carefully as to what happens with his development, and he is, if you are interested, he is just further down south at a very famous rehabilitation centre where we're hoping he will be cleared of any kind of illness. Apparently Brent is lost, and so what I'm going to do is sit back down in my seat and actually do some driving around the place, rather than you all having to stare at my face for the next 4 minutes while I try and make up things to tell you, because there's lots actually to tell you if we can find something interesting. So I'm sorry about that. It seems that Brent has lost his signal. There is a very interesting plant just to the left of us here, and what we're going to do is I'll pick you a flower from there, and we'll have a look-see at that flower. Right, and we'll just stop here with the microphone to pick up the dulcet tones of my voice. And I'll go and pick you a quick plant. In fact, I'll have to come back and plug myself in, otherwise I won't know when we're off air. Any word, Brian?
Okay.
Right. It's actually got a very delightful smell. This is called a Chinese lantern because it looks like a Chinese lantern, and it's come from a bush called Dicrostachys cinerea, or the sickle bush, and doesn't often grow into a magnificent tree like this. It's normally a very scraggly encroacher species that is eaten by elephants, and in the absence of elephants turns into a real nasty kind of impenetrable forest of trees. Very thorny thing. All right, we're okay. We can go back to Brent now and Shadow. Enjoy the last few minutes with them. Thanks very much. We'll see you this afternoon. Bye-bye.
So here we can see the remnants of that duiker that Shadow has managed to kill, probably in the early hours of this morning. And very interesting that she hasn't hoisted it. She definitely seems to hoist less than the other leopards, but hopefully she'll still be here on the sunset safari. But we're chatting about that leopard paternity and how very difficult it is to tell who's the father. And there's always a lot of speculation, judged on looks and whatnot, which are very, very dangerous to go by. So at the moment, there's an organization called Panthera, who are the leading carnivore conservation world. Doing an ongoing study on leopard paternity in the Sabi Sands. So occasionally on drive, you'll notice that James or myself or Jamie or Scott will jump off and start collecting leopard poo into a vial, and that will go off and be genetically tested to try to figure out who's the daddy. So really fascinating stuff that's going to be happening shortly. So thanks very much for joining us on this sunrise safari. It's been wonderful from Andrew and myself. We will see you on the sunset safari, and James, and interesting stuff. Leopard on a kill, lion on a kill. So it's going to be fantastic, and you better be there with us. And hopefully the weather stays away for the last few seconds of drive. I'm sure you'd much rather look at Shadow.